Hi guys, Ross here. I hope you're all having a lovely day. Welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about how to create this landscape render in Cinema 4D and Redshift using Forester. Now, Forester is a plugin for Cinema 4D for anything foliage related, so you can create trees, grass, flowers, a whole bunch of different things, and today I'm going to be going over some of the techniques for scattering and how I used it to create this render. So it should be a really interesting one. If you do find it helpful, I would really appreciate it if you leave a like, a comment, or a subscribe. Any support really means a lot to me. I really do appreciate it, so thank you very much, and let's jump straight into the video. So we're in Cinema 4D and we have a very basic scene here. So we've got some landscape objects, we have a plane which is our water, we have a plane in the background with a sky texture on it, and we have a plane in the sky which is casting these lovely kind of cloud shadows into our scene. If you want to know more about that, I dropped a video a few weeks ago, so I'll put a link on the screen somewhere now and you can go check that out. So let's just dive straight into it. So we're going to go into extensions, Forester, and multiflora. Multiflora? I don't know how you pronounce it. You're going to have this library of assets here. So we've got some grass, some wheat, and all different types of flowers, but we're going to stick with the nice straight cut grass. That's going to update our object in our viewport, but obviously we want to scatter this across our landscape. So we're going to go back up to extensions, Forester, and multi-cloner. This kind of works the same as the cloner or the matrix object in native Cinema 4D. So we're going to have to drag our grass and make that a child. And now all we have to do is find the object we want to scatter it onto. So let's just take our landscape 6, scatter this, and we can see in the render view the grass is being scattered across that object. Obviously we want to scatter it across the whole scene, so instead of having to make separate multi-cloners, all I'm going to do is just select all these landscape objects, connect objects and delete, and then drag this new landscape in there. So we got a really small clone amount, so we just need to scroll down and let's just increase this clone count to something like 10,000, and we should start to see more of that grass appearing. I think for the final render I used a value of like 700,000, so it's quite a high amount of clones, which does start to slow your scene down. But when you're working on these kind of large scale scenes, those are the kind of figures you're working with. So yeah, I would kind of find like a good amount which keeps your scene nice and speedy, and then just crank it up for your final render. I could probably bump it up, add an extra 0 and turn that to 100,000. Let's see how that performs. Yeah, so it's not too slow. I reckon we can roll with this for now. But yeah, let's start to dive in and look at some of these settings. So first off, I'm actually going to look at this clone size, and I'm going to drop this down to 0.5. So this is going to take our grass object and just half the size of it and then rescatter it. So we're probably going to have to then bump up the clone count to kind of counteract this. So yeah, let's have a look. It's going to take a minute to just kind of update that and refresh it. And there you go. So that's a really easy tool to either scale down or scale up your object. Really quick and simple. You can just do it through the clone size. So let's talk about filtering. So this is a really useful tab full of different tools where you can kind of filter how the scattering is working. So let's talk about filter by height. So you can see at the moment it's scattering everywhere, and my landscape currently goes underneath the water, so you can see how it's scattering the grass underneath the water. Now this does look quite interesting, but for this render I want to keep it purely on the landscapes, and one way to do that is to use the filter by height. So I'm going to enable that just by pressing the checkbox, and you can see straight away it's already started to cut off some of those clones. So we can use this height slider here to really affect how this is working. So if I put something like 300, it's basically going to cut off anything below 300 centimeters, and it's now only scattering on the top of these landscapes. So you can adjust this to get the result you want. Kind of works how like a linear fall off would with a plane. So we can just tweak this until we're happy with the look. So maybe something like 105 works, where yeah, there we go, that's perfect. Maybe actually just drop it down just so some of them are dipping their toes in the water. I think that looks good to me. So that's a really quick and easy way to just kind of filter it. And we, now we've restricted it from scattering in the water. So I'm going to go up and we're going to look at this next filtering option, which is filter by polygon selection. So in the final render, you'll see that we didn't actually have any scattering on these back two landscapes, and that is through using the filter by polygon selection tool. So what we need to do first is set up our polygon selection tags. So I'm going to select my landscape, go to polygon mode, make sure I've still got the move tool selected, and I'm just going to double click on this back left landscape. It might take a quick second, but it should select the whole landscape. There we go. I'm going to hold shift and do the same on this right one. And all I have to do now is if I hold V on the keyboard, it's going to bring up this lovely little mini menu, which gives me kind of quick access to some tools. But we're going to go to select and set selection. So now we have this triangle icon, which is our polygon selection tag. And we can plug this into our multi-cloner, into the filtering, and just into this little section here. And obviously it's not going to do anything because we need to enable this checkbox here. So that's going to update, and now we should only have scattering on those back two landscapes. So really, really powerful, but we actually want to invert this. So we're just going to select the invert polygon selection tool. And now we have it on just the 4 front landscapes. So a really easy way to kind of filter your scattering. Obviously there's a bunch of different tools in here, so you can do it by noise, by slope, or you can actually clip to camera. So this is a really good way to kind of cull any scattering that isn't in view of the camera. But I'm going to leave that for now, but maybe that's something I can dive into another time. So we've got our scattering, it's looking really good. But I want to talk about how we can add some more variation and make it feel a bit more natural and organic. To show this off properly, I think I'm going to have to bump the clone count up. So let's put it up to something like 300,000. See how the scene copes with that. Hopefully it won't take too long to load. If it does, I'll cut it out. But oh, it's updated already. So yeah, still pretty speedy, even at like kind of these high values of 300,000. It's still coping pretty well. So yeah, at the moment it's looking very uniform. We want to break it up a little bit. So we're going to use the randomization tab, which is right at the bottom of the multi-cloner. So this kind of works how a random effector would work, where you can turbolize the position, the rotation, and the size. And we're just going to focus on the size for now. So at the moment, we've got 0 randomization of the size. If I crank this up to something like 10, it's going to go crazy and randomize it to some crazy scales. So yeah, that's a bit too over the top. So let's dial it back down to 3. But at the moment, what's happening is each one of the objects is being randomized in width, depth, and height. So some are going to be stretched, some are going to be really tall, some are going to be short. And sometimes, necessarily we don't want that. So there's this absolute size button, which if we just enable that, they're now all going to be randomized kind of uniformly. So they're all going to be in proportion. They're just going to be either like bigger or smaller. So you can see that looks a bit more balanced now, but there is some variation in there. You can see some are kind of like taller than others or a bit shorter, which helps to add some more depth and interest to the render. Now, in this particular render, or this particular case, I actually just wanted to restrict it to height. And we can do that through this really easy checkbox here, restrict scaling to Y. So this is just going to restrict the randomization to the height. So some are going to be taller, some are going to be shorter, but the width and the depth is going to be exactly the same. So you can see here, some are starting to kind of poke out above others and some are a lot shorter. So this helps to give it a much more kind of like hedgy, clumpy feel, I suppose, which worked well for this render and helps to kind of just break up the grass a little bit. The next thing we have is the turbulence scale. So this is essentially going to affect the noise which is driving the randomization. So if we decrease this down to something like 25, you want to see that it's a lot more frequent, the randomization. So you can see a lot more clumps of like taller and shorter grass now. So you can play with this to kind of affect how frequent you want that randomization to be. So this is looking cool now. We've got some grass, it's randomized, it looks a bit organic, but we've got this horrible material. It's way too dark, way too saturated. We just want to make it feel a bit more natural, a bit like the color of the landscape material we have. So let's dive into the material and just kind of take this to the next level. So the first thing we need to do is go up to Redshift, Materials, Tools, and Convert and Replace All Materials, because by default Forester is going to use just a standard render material. So we just need to convert that. That isn't the case if you're using the expansion packs. They actually are compatible with Redshift and all the other render engines, but just for the base Forester plugin, it does use the standard renderer. So you just need to update that and convert those materials. So now we have all these kind of grass materials. I don't know why there's these extra ones when it actually only uses one, but it is what it is. So we're going to dive into this material, and you can see it's a very basic material. We just have this diffuse texture, which is being plugged into the diffuse color, and then output it to the surface. So let's just kind of tweak this and add a few more parameters to make it look a bit more realistic. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this and plug it into the translucency color, and then increase the weight of the translucency all the way up to 1. Let's actually drag this out so we can see a bit better. Yeah, so I just refreshed the render view. Sometimes the material gets stuck and it won't update. So yeah, it's worth refreshing it, or sometimes disabling the multi-cloner and re-enabling it just to kind of fix that. Sometimes it doesn't update the grass. I'm not sure if it's due to the clone count or what, but yeah, just kind of check those sometimes. So now we've got a very vibrant grass. If we turn that translucency off and turn it back on, you can see it's a lot brighter, but it's way too saturated. So the next thing we're going to do is press Shift C for our little mini menu and grab a color correct. And we can just plug our texture into the input and then output this to both of these. And all I'm going to do here is just bring the saturation down slightly, just to take some of the color out, and then I'm going to boost the gamma to like 1.3. So this looks so much better. So now we've desaturated it and boosted the gamma. It looks a lot more natural. It doesn't look as saturated and as dark. And I'm much happier with the result. Now there is a really handy tool in the multi-cloner, which is this point color. And we can actually use this to drive the color of the grass. So I'm going to show you how to set that up. So we're going to dive back into the material, and we're going to use something called color user data. Now it sounds fancy, I know, but it's really, really simple. We're going to press Shift C again and type in color user data. And if we output this to the surface, it's going to go black because we haven't given it an attribute to look up. So if we press this drop down arrow, go to objects and object color, that is now going to reference the point color in our multi-cloner. So if I just change this to like an orangey kind of color, that's going to take a quick minute to update, but that should now reflect the color of that point color. There we go. So you can really use this to kind of drive the color of your grass, but obviously we've lost all the texture from our grass material. So we need to mix the diffuse and the color user data. Now, luckily for us, there is a really handy node called color mix. So I'm just going to search that up into that, and let's just output the material again quickly. So we're going to put this color correct into input 1, and then the color user data into input 2. And then let's just organize these a little bit. There we go. Then put the color mix into both of these. So by default, the mix amount is 0. So it's still taking 100% of this diffuse texture. And obviously we want to bring in some of the color user data. So let's try something like 0.75. So there we go. Now we've got a blend of the diffuse texture and the point color from the multi-cloner. So let's just change that back to the green. But you can see now that we can drive everything through the point color without actually having to dive into the material. So it's really intuitive. We'll make the process a lot quicker, and we can just, play with the color of this, and we can also play with the saturation and the brightness as well. So I'm just going to reference the settings I used from my original scene. So I believe I used 96 hue, 30 saturation, and 62 for the brightness. So that looks quite desaturated, but again, I'm just trying to make it feel a bit more natural and organic, and also trying to keep it quite surreal for this particular render. So this blends perfectly with a landscape, and now we have a really nice light grass, which looks worlds apart from the original material we had. So the point color is really powerful, and next to it we have this tab called Randomize Color. So you guys can probably guess what's going to happen. If I put 0.5 in, it's going to randomize the color of the grass, and it's going to update the points in the viewport as well, so we can kind of see what's going on. And now we have this whole Technicolor kind of look to the grass, which doesn't particularly work for this scene, so I'm going to drop it back down. But you can be really subtle with this, so maybe like 0.05 is just going to give you some like kind of hues of yellow and orange in there, and just help to break up the grass a little bit. So yeah, now we can see some kind of like yellowy grass in there. So you can play with this just to add like some more variation and just make it feel a bit more natural and organic. And all I did to add the flowers was I just repeated the same process as I've done with this multi-cloner, but when I select my multiflora, I just go in here and select one of these flowers. So I'll quickly just drag these in. So let's just drag these into our scene, and I do need to update them quickly. So I just need to select my new geometry, and I did actually create another selection tag for this front landscape. So let me just double click. There we go. V and set selection, and then I used this selection so that the flowers only appeared on the front landscape. So let's just select both these multi-cloners, go to filtering and drop the new polygon selection in. And then I also need to make sure that I have the height set to the right amount, 105, that should work. And let's play this and they should be there. There we go, beautiful. So now we've got our flowers in the scene, we've got our grass, and I would probably, like I said at the beginning of the video, bump the clone count up for the grass just so that you're not getting these kind of patches here. Like I said, I believe I used a value of like 700,000, so pretty much doubled what we have at the moment. But you can play with this depending on the scale of your scene. So I think that is everything, guys. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully it's been a useful video. This is the basics of the Forester plugin, and obviously, you know, it has the side to it where you can use the trees as well. So maybe that's a whole separate video I need to talk about, but let me know in the comment section down below if you want to see that. But yeah, let me know if you found this video helpful. Leave a thumbs up if you did. Hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. And until next time, thank you for watching. Peace.